Yeah.
No, like they're not relict, or like you want to get them up to
I
snuff.
want. I need to get them 2 relics.
No, I have not seen those yet.
Here you go. There, I just sent them in DM.
All right, give me a second because I just want to tag this stuff. Uh, Shittiest TB player. I love this tag.
Shittiest TV player and public enemy #1 are two of the funniest tags because it's like shittiest TV player, but I'm going up against them and I'm very good. Public enemy #1. This dude is really, really good.
We're great at this game. Trust us. All right, I'm publishing
Yeah.
that. That's up there. Let's see. What do you have in this P? Tarful. Tarful. So Zalbar. I lucked out on Zalbar. I got Zalbar as a Relic 8 platoon way back in the day.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
and I was like, yeah, fine, I'll do it. Your own fucking people are fucking with you here. I did Zalbar, and I was like, well, this is a shitty character, and now we have this Omicron, so I did the Omicron right away. I was like, fuck this, I have him at Relic 8. Why the fuck wouldn't I do that? I just want to remind you, Phil, that on my streams, there's no juice, there's beer. And we curse and we say bad words. That's just how things work here. You're allowed to do that here. We are uncensored. It's okay. Because I know, like, you try to be more family friendly or whatever it is.
It's we got to draw a line somewhere. Outside of Swago, I'm a degenerate, and so like Swago's like my, merge a little bit of that degeneracy with like, okay, if Harper was sitting next to me, could I still play?
That's fair. That is fair, and I know some people have sent me screenshots. They're like, "Look, you're on my 80-inch screen TV," and I go, "Oh shit, what did I say in front of your family?"
Yeah.
God damn it. But you know what? No, this is late night. It's 9:30 p.m. in the civilized world. I don't know what time it is for other people. I don't care. That's not the real world. Their kids should be asleep. And if they're not asleep, then they're old enough to hear curse words.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, Harper's she's heard enough. But this past is it last week? I'm like working in my basement and I hear this what sounds like my fucking dog pissing somewhere. So I like get up. I'm ready to get ready to go Mike Vick. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
You heard it here first. Phatphil's gonna Michael Vick his dogs.
Yeah, Chinese restaurants getting a phone call, and all this. I look out and it's our sewer main line has a vent, so that way if there's a blockage, it'll come out there, and water had come out of there, and so I run upstairs and telling my wife, hey, we got to get the plumber out here, like we got a blockage, and then it happens like a second time. And Harper's like, Daddy, what's going on? And I'm like, Harper, just get your mother. And then like more water came out. And I'm fucking son of a bitch. And then you gotta like tote it back a second. She's like, oh, 5-year-old just heard all of
it. Dude, the things that kids say these days, though, I was just upstate with my nieces. It was my youngest niece's birthday. She's 3. And her 2 sisters are older. So my oldest niece is 17. My middle niece is 15, and then my brother and sister-in-law are just crazy, and they're like, you know what? Now that our kids are getting old enough to go to college, let's adopt because we want to have a baby again. And I'm very pro-adoption, and I love my littlest niece a ton, but it's just a funny like 15-year gap. So I was upstate with them. And the shit that teenagers say today, like, I was in a room with my nieces and their friends, and it was making me uncomfortable. I was like, this is what that feels like? Kids talk like this?
Dude, it's another language.
It's terrible. She was like, my one niece goes, oh yeah, I tell my best friend's mom that she looks cunty all the time, which is a good thing.
What?
It's apparently a good thing. I was ready to flip out on her. I was like, what? What did you say? She's like, no, that's a great thing. That's the best compliment you could give somebody.
I it, Dude, like I was in a guild with a bunch of guys from the UK, and that was like I had to get used to like calling them that word because that's like hello over there. But it's such a culture shock. Like you
It's
that is just it's a word that you're like it just you cringe when you hear it.
I was trying to tell my wife about this yesterday, and I had to I was like, oh, just so you know, like I would never say this, but I just need, just so you know. And I said it to her, and she goes, oh yeah, I hear that in RuPaul all the time. Yeah, that's nothing new. Like that's a big thing.
Oh my god.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, holy shit, I'm so fucking
Am I just
old.
that's what am I just that old? Like
We are that old. We are that, like, the things that were being said. They were playing Jackbox, and I don't know if you ever played Jackbox, but I got to the point. It's like you play on your phone, but through the TV, and you like make up answers, and people vote. But I got to a point where I was like, I'm just gonna vote for whatever answer is not the obnoxious one, because I cannot,
yeah.
in my right mind, in a room full of 16 and 17-year-old girls, pick the answer that is what I would have written when I was 16 or 17. You know? So I was sitting there in a corner looking at my sister, who's a few years younger than me, but I'm like, please save me. Can we leave now? Can we like go up there and drink? Because I can't do this anymore. Hey, Logan, I was literally in Saratoga 2 days ago, you piece of shit, at Treetop Brewing, Tree something Brewing. They just opened up, it was a great place. You got to check it out. It's probably not far from you. So we're here tonight. Phil and I were just shooting the shit. I was supposed to do something else. It didn't pan out for tonight. I texted him. I did not have any hope. I said, hey, Phil, I got some hours and you're my second choice. Do you want to go do something? And he said, yeah, I'll abdicate my kids and fuck my wife. Like, I'm going to go hang out with you. Yes, there's drawing pictures in Jackbox. But yeah, so
the wording that I used.
that was exactly what you said to me, and I have the receipts to prove it. But I think our goal tonight was, I don't know, multifold. One, I do have a backlog of reviews, and we agreed it might be fun to do some of those, which we'll do a little bit later. We started talking about the bonus drops. We started talking about the Lightspeed bundles. And then I said, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we talking about all of this shit before we go live? Let's just pull the trigger. And that's the plan for tonight is Egnards, Phil, and Chill. So Phil, shittiest TB player, how you doing tonight?
Dude, we're good. I need a refill, but we're good.
I can man down the fort and hang with chat if you need to go grab yourself another juice.
It's soda.
Soda. Sorry.
Very specific.
Soda.
Get it fucking right.
Oh, I got soda. Yeah, so we're here tonight. We're just hanging out. It's more of a low key vibe of everything that we're doing. My wife is on a business trip, so I have a little bit more time this week to get different things going on. Darth Link, my man, I appreciate it. Thank you. Fuck Phil. Don't say hi to Phil. He's a piece of shit. So the first thing on the agenda, I think, there's no agenda. We're making shit up as we go along. We have our TB Wave competition coming up, not this coming TB, but the next TB after. Yeah. I don't even know how this started. This is my year of picking fights with people. I've picked a fight with Shaka. I've now picked a fight with you. How are you feeling about the whole thing at this point?
I actually feel very confident because I feel like you slowly realized that I had a lot more potential for waves that you probably didn't think about. Like, being the under like going into this knowing that you had more investment in TB made it like so much sweeter that it's like, all right, if I can just make you nervous, I have a chance.
That has been,
But
I know. Go ahead.
I was good because I think how it started was I thought like 'cause my guild we're very territory battle focused,
Yeah.
and we track our waves pretty religiously.
Hmm.
Um, One because it's a requirement for our guild that you get 70 waves in phases 2 through 6 because
Okay.
phase one and for a guild of our size, same with yours, not everybody needs to do combats phase one, so we don't
Most
count
people don't.
anything you do there. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. So phases 2 through 6, and I could even make an argument for my guild now that your phase two waves aren't as not that you shouldn't, we can't do zeros, but like I don't, as an officer, I'm not deploying in phase two.
Yes,
So
it's different in phase. So phase one, I think at our group, literally, I don't even think anyone needs to do combat missions at all. But phase two, we're in the same position. Like if everyone does nothing, we're fucked. But at the same time, like if one or two people are missing, it's not a big deal. And like every time after that, it just gets easier and easier.
yeah, yeah. And so that just was something that we tracked. And so I was like sharing it with you thinking, oh, Egnards probably knows his waves. And then you're like, fuck you, dude. Like, asshole. Like, I can do better than that. And I feel like that's what started it was just me like being like, oh, like I'm curious what he gets. And then you're like, I'm gonna show you, punk.
That was, what was it? You got like 111 that time, and I managed, I think, 112, and then I just starting shit.
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised to know how much I wing it. Everyone assumes that I'm super organized. They're like, oh, you probably know your wave count. You probably know your this. No, I wing it. I wing my TVs. I don't have a plan to the same extent that you guys have a plan, even though shout out to Mandalorians and your TB officers who I'm still convinced don't know what they're talking about in phase 3. I don't care. I'll call them out right now. I'll give them.
They they relented.
Thank you.
They changed our strategy.
Thank you.
That was
I honestly appreciate that.
it was it. I said to them, I was like, it's very funny how this whole thing has been so good for the guild because one, like my waves have skyrocketed, but
Yes.
I kind of helped us develop a new strategy by just like talking to you and being like, yo, how do you do TV? Because I'm curious what we're doing and can it help us get better?
Well, I think, the difference between our guild. So what's interesting is as of today, who knows in 2 weeks, because it is a lot closer. And this is what we were talking about before. Your guild is better at TB than my guild is. My guild, yours is more competitive than mine. My guild does have a lot of slackers that we've kind of let skirt by who do not do a lot. And we're trying to change that now. But as of right now, I have led waves over the last 4 or 5 events, and it's been very close. Like, very, very, very close. So it's kind of like your guild is better, I'm slightly better. I have been getting worried because you sent me a document a few days ago of, like, you tracking your waves over the last 3 months, and I think you went from, like, 80 a month ago to, like, 115, like, a week ago. And again, to your guild, you guys need to thank me because I got him off his ass and starting to like actually do stuff. And I'm like,
that's very factual.
I'm like scrounging to try and find waves that I can pick up, especially now that I have the Spectre team.
This is like the part that pisses me off now is you're at the same point too where you're like a Relegate Spectre team literally doesn't help me improve waves at this point. Like it doesn't.
So for me, the Spectre team did help make 3 days a little easier because there was one combat that was kind of like not that I couldn't do it, but it was like a crapshoot. But now I'm
auto it.
No, now I'm looking at like Enoch, for example, getting a 5th in an Enoch team if I relic 8 someone for the Enoch team for Scout Trooper, it doesn't give me more waves. It will only make a battle that right now I'm doing 70% of the time, 100% of the time. And it's like, is
Yeah.
that worth it? Right now, like, the only thing I have is, do I finish my Wookiees? Like, that's the only, like, combat. And I know, like, I have my game up right now. I started upping my Wookiees, but I don't know if I'm going to continue them. I don't know how easy that mission is, how hard that mission is. I don't know if it's a waste.
It's a pretty easy mission.
Um,
I did it on my one friend's account way back in the day when he needed help like logging in and stuff, and I was doing that mission, and it was like kind of insulting. Like
I'm
you ever,
hoping.
it reminds me, it reminds me of like the Ahsoka GL event where you're like, this is just beyond, like this is just stupid.
Can we start
This is
fucking simming those events now? Like, it's ridiculous at this point. Especially the Ahsoka event. I was like, come on, like, it's such a long battle. Do I have to do this 10
oh,
fucking times?
it,
And she
like
hits like a wet noodle.
yeah, I, I don't know. I'm one of the, I'm like a masochist. Maybe it's all those years of running track and cross country. Like I enjoyed the Rey and Kylo events because they were challenging. Like
Yeah.
there's an element to unlocking a galactic legend where the event was hard. You had to think through the characters you were bringing. It just when it's like when you're sitting there and you're like, I could get through this with an auto button. It's just frustrating at that.
And
Like that's the
so
part that's frustrating.
before it didn't like before I understood, I was like, all right, tickets, you might lose, like maybe, I guess you could sort of. But now that you don't lose tickets, like, let's go. Like, let me do the thing once. But I actually did not speed up my Ahsoka as much as I should have because I could not stomach doing that battle more than once a day. It's like, I just can't. I cannot do it.
I did the whole thing on a live stream from start to finish. I mean, I hate that we're doing this wave count battle now after I spent how many crystals like buying the Spectre shards, crashing the shard shop, like getting into the 200s of energy and the weekly shipments and everything. It was, but I got it all at once, which is so stupid,
In all
right?
fairness, I did spend I would say like I was not planning to get Ahsoka done until probably a month from now. And because of this, I did have to buy shards and I did have to buy things and I did have to speed it up considerably. So not to the level that you did, but I did have to do it and bite the bullet. And I've been spending way more resources than I normally would. Those daily deals I've been buying, I got fucked on those I sent you the circuit boards. I got 100, 100, 100, 150, 100. Ugh,
That
it
was
was awful.
I actually felt bad for you because there's just like I can remember buying that and getting like a 250 and a 3.
Yeah, and I've done that. And I bought like 7 of the packs. And I was like, one of them, just give me a 300. Just give me one fucking 300. But I think I'm light now because now I just have really the Wookiees that I need to do. I'm hoping that I'm gonna get to about 130 waves for our battle. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm hoping that we're gonna be somewhere around there.
Yeah, I my biggest fear is day 5, um, Mandalore. If I don't know that I'll be able to do combats
Just
because
make them.
well, that's the thing. I'm already getting like a pass on Zepho
Just
for
make
like
them.
extra combats I'll do. But yeah, Mandalore is the one. Now, right now, I don't. I That's where like I think my Spectre team could help is I could do that.
Spectre
Then
does it.
yeah,
I can auto it. Yeah.
but I have to. The problem there is I then need to figure out. Um, I think I'd have to do my Ray team or my. I'd need to use someone other than Ezra in a team, and I don't know if I can do that. So I've got to do some thinking there on how I want to do that
This is
because
why. Go ahead.
I use Ezra with JML on
Yeah.
passive, and that makes it. I mean, you can't auto the battle, but it's easy enough.
I've never used JML. I don't like JML on Kessel. I'm sure Ezra makes it so much easier, but like he just doesn't function well there without Ezra. I obviously I picked this date because I would be off to allow me really just for P1. Because otherwise I do run my battles anyway, but like P1 I don't run normally at all. I've kind of liked this month because it's like you're trying things. You're like, all right, how can I tweak this team to take out that character? And all through TB, I know people think that we hate each other, and which is funny to me. It's hilarious to me. But we're constantly texting each other. And we're like talking about, hey, like I'm taking this guy out to try that. Allie, yes, I have the Wampa here, and I have my torch here. It's my cocktail torch, and he's right there, and it will happen if Phil loses. I'm waiting for it.
I think it's going to come down to like stupid battles. Like
Yes.
the Mustafar fleet mission to me is like the going to be the make or break. And I'm going to say like for me it's going to be like Kafrine and Hayden are going to be the I've got to get lucky there.
There are those few battles, like I've never won the Geonosis fleet mission. I know there's about a 30% win rate, but I've never won it. Like, I'm hoping that's the day that I actually win it because it would really significantly help.
Speaking of fleet missions, I need to make sure somebody in my guild takes my TIE Interceptor in phase 1. Because I've never had TIE Interceptor for that battle, so I have to at least once with TIE Interceptor.
I've actually never done that battle on manual. I've always done it on auto with Leviathan. And it's about it's about a 60% win rate, so it's not going to be reliable enough for our battle. I'm going to have to do it manual, but I've never done it manual before. It's going to be like, let's try. Let's see what happens.
It's the manual strat without TIE Defender, or without TIE Interceptor, it's so much more challenging. Because you're just like praying for the right RNG.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a fun.
But like what piece of shit in your guild would not give up their TIE Interceptor for P1? Come on.
That's the thing. Like I'm just gonna give it to someone in a day.
Like anybody. Like my guild is, you can ask Wombat, fuck Wombat. But you can ask Wombat, like, in our guild chat, everyone's like, fuck Phatphil, piece of shit, fuck him. And I'm like, I don't know if they're in on the joke or not, but like, let's go.
My one officer is like, Phil, I will hold your hand through every single mission just so you can beat Egnards. Like it's like, it's I mean, it is funny because I feel like when I started this, I always knew like, oh, I could do some interesting things in TV, but like some of the pushing that I've done,
yeah,
I'm like, holy shit, that worked. Like JML on Kessel, throwing Ezra in there is what makes that work. Because it's JML Ezra and then Plo Grandmaster Yoda and like General Skywalker. So it's just a bunch of galactic legends. I mean, I get it. It's like 3 GL Rex with Ezra and JML.
You know what you need? You need some TB Omicrons. I'm telling you.
I really don't.
And that goes back to Allie's point. With the actual bet has been so far, if you win, I will Relic 9 my Wampa.
I was going to amend this for you to say if your guild already has one.
We don't, that I know of. I'm pretty sure. I can look.
I was gonna just say like that. I didn't want you to have to do something that doesn't help your guild. That it needs to be a Relic 9 op, and I was just hoping it could be Wampa.
Okay, let me. I mean, I'm pulling up GG right now, and as we're saying that, everyone's talking about TB Omicron sucking, and I will fight every single one of these people in chat. Here's the deal. GAC Omicrons, right, they are for resource acquisition, which I 100% agree with, and you do need a certain amount of them. TB Omicrons are for time saving. And I've got 2 jobs. I have a full-time job in a school, and then I own my own business on top of that, and I'm married. Like, I don't have fucking time. So if I can save my time by autoing something, yes, I'm going to save myself time by autoing something. Especially my GAC win rate is like 55 to 60%. That's good. Like, that's where you want to be. Another Omicron's not solving that.
I would probably agree with that.
You heard it here first, guys. And by the way, there are no R9 Wampas in my guild, so we will keep it at R9 Wampa. And again, we're not trying to fuck each other over. I'm not giving you the worst TB Omicron. I am giving you one that you want, but I know you hate TB Omicrons. If you lose, you have to Omicron Captain Enoch, which will only help you. Other people have said, hey, make him do Karth. And I'm like, no, that's fucked up. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, like I feel like people don't understand sometimes that like to make a bet, it doesn't need to be Imperial Pro Droid and like Bodhi Rook.
Oh my
Like you
God.
can do good things that just like Wampa does not really in the. I mean, he does kind of help. So I can use him. I use him on Haven and I use him on Tap. So like, I mean, there is that.
Oh shit, I forgot
But
that Andrew is my guild leader. Fuck Tish.
hold on, I will be right back. I gotta go help my wife with something.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, Tish, you do. You have a relic 8. You and somebody else. I actually turned it off. But there's 2 people with a relic 8 in the guild. He has to wear a Chiefs hat for a month. He has to, or I have to, because I'm all Broncos country. Fucking Broncos country, let's ride. So, yes, we have our wave battle coming up, and I don't know if you guys saw it. For those of you that didn't, I can take Phil off the screen for a second, and I guess you can't fully see it on here. Let me switch this over to... I guess I can't do it on the twofer. But we have a lovely graphic that was made by Moonborn, which is a boxing poster of the 2 of us. Actually, if I go to this and I go to that and I change this around and pop that in there and just kind of throw that away. We've got these lovely boxing posters of the 2 of us for our TB wave battle that Moonborn made because he's hilarious and he loser does. It doesn't even matter who the loser is, they have to wear a Chiefs hat. What was the last thing that I spent on? The last thing I spent on was I bought the Rogue One bundle for 3 characters that I'm not going to use just for the hell of it, just to have them relicked. And I bought the last pass, and I am going to be buying the cup bundle because the cup bundle is just this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think that segues actually into the other thing we wanted to talk about, which is really the Lightspeed bundles that have come out recently.
Came back at the perfect time.
Perfect time. I'm talking about cup bundle, but the thing we were talking about before was basically the idea, and I will give credit to C Squared, who I was originally going to do a Tales episode with tonight, but there was some internet issues on his end. And before we decided to try again another night, he had said to me, as someone who's only been playing for 3 years, and as someone who has bought most of the Lightspeed bundles and now has 11 million GP, that as far as he sees it, we have reached the end of old content Lightspeed bundles. So everything basically pre-Jabba at this point. And I think we talked about this very briefly and kind of agreed with that. So what's your take on Lightspeed bundles overall at where we stand today on March 25th?
Cool. All right. So, on the record, this is for the record. I was secretly hoping that the Bad Batch bundle would like not be a thing, just because I thought it was so funny to hang it over everybody's head as a meme.
Fuck
I
you,
am,
Bones.
yeah, fuck you, Bones. I am very happy it's here because I do think it felt like it. The reason it was fun to hang over everybody's head was because it was the very most obvious bundle out there. Like of everything else that they had released, it was like very obvious we are not touching that. Like it was way too easy to single out. I'm happy it's here because again, I think it does complete the circle. It kind of catches them up to everything Jabba and before.
Yeah.
And so now you're everything is Jabba, is like Jabba to behind him is in the game in some way, shape, or so I think it sets the game up to be in a really good place. My biggest complaint with these bundles is if I started an account today
Okay.
and I buy a hyperdrive bundle, I can get this Rogue One bundle, I can get the Bad Batch bundle, TIE Interceptor, whatever the hell else, but I can't go buy Kylo. I can't go get Rey. Star Killer, Afra, Jabba, whatever bundles, I can't purchase. And that's always been my biggest frustration with them is if you don't start an account at a very specific time, you don't get to purchase them again unless they come back. And think of the advantage people have of starting an account when the General Skywalker bundle was around with Negotiator
Yeah.
compared to if you started one today with the Profundity bundle, with the Rogue One bundle. Like it's night and day different. So that's kind of the one thing that I would say if I had to be really harsh to Capital Games, you need to make them available to people when they hit level 85 or a point in, because otherwise I think they're great. I like that they're not really structured, that you don't really know when they're coming. There's not this like monthly cadence of a Lightspeed bundle that kind of builds into the gotcha element and also kind of builds into this like you either do it or you don't. There's no like, oh, I'll get it next month, I'll get it next month. I think that's been a good thing because there's a lot that I've looked at and been like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to work on Jawa. I'm not going to work on Tuskens. I'm not going to work on my Rebel fighters or whatever else. It's not worth purchasing. Doesn't help me enough. And then you're like, oh, I wish maybe I should have done it. But I'm glad it's not something that's just kind of always there.
Yeah. It's like that FOMO. And they want that. They want you to be like, oh shit, when's the next time this is coming out? Fuck, 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 fuck. And I do think that the business strategy works, but I do agree with you, and I've said it to Meathead, and I think I've said it on Reddit before. This is one of the only games that doesn't have, and I've played a lot of games like this. I don't play them long term. I've never played them to the level I've played this game. This is one of the only games I've played that doesn't have a like, congratulations, you hit level 85. Like, buy this bundle for $10 and it's only available for one day. This is one of the only games that doesn't have that going on.
Oh, it'd be so nice.
I think it would be really interesting for players, even just the Hyperdrive bundle, which is available always for $50, but to say, hey, you reach 85, $10 for the Hyperdrive bundle, which they've done before. And,
yeah.
and it negates, it's just kind of like, you're not getting shit, really. But it's like, hey, you get people, and I shouldn't be saying this because, obviously not everyone has the money to spend, but it gets them into the spending ecosphere, which is important for them more than it is for us. And maybe have you bought the Lightspeed, the Hyperdrive bundle?
No, I've held out.
Not
when
even
it
for
was
$10.
No, I should
Just for the Zetas.
I don't need to. I don't really need that many Zetas. Like,
just for the relic cargo, like for.
I don't need relic cargo.
My God, I bought it. I bought it at $100. I mean, it is different now because back then the gearing was important. But I bought it for $100, needing no shards, and I was like, "This is worth it."
I have 3,000 carbonate circuits, and I have
God, I wish.
relic salvage. I have plenty of relic salvage too.
Yeah, yours. Um, you've sent me screenshots, and I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, fuck you. But also, I'm in a position. I know you're not an officer in your guild, but I mean, anytime you're a creator or something, and you have people look to you, right? So like whether you're an officer or not, you have some kind of officer power. Um, as the TB officer for my guild, and way before I started doing video or anything else, if somebody fucks something up, it's on me. So if somebody's like, "Oh, I screwed up my platoon and we can't hit this star today," it's me that goes, "Well, all right, I guess I'm fucking doing Zalbar," and that worked out for me a year later.
Yeah.
You know, so I have so many platoons that were not my platoon that I did because someone else just fucked it up.
I had a Relic 7 Ben solo for over a year before I had Relic,
Oh God.
because I was I was one of like 10 people in the guild who had a Ben solo at 7 stars
Yeah.
Conquest, because I actually played Conquest. And at the time, nobody else in my guild had him. So they were like, Phil, we need him. And they're like, oh, and while you're at it, we also need Boba Fett signed to Django. And so, like, those are like, I had these two awful, like, I wouldn't say awful, but like for my account at the time, they were awful Conquest units at Relic 7. And now, I mean, both of them have worked out because Boba Fett goes with Balin, and Ben Solo is literally goated with Rey.
Most is a lot. Some of them have worked out over the years. Again, it's funny because my guild leader is here, and he's like, "Wait, how many of these have you done?" So I'm like, "Oh shit, let's see how many of these emergency platoons I have done over the years." Zalbar is one of them. Hermit Yoda to R8 was one of them that I did recently. Fuck, who else? Grief Karga was another emergency platoon that I did. Who else? I think Dengar to R8. Again, that worked out for me.
Yeah,
Was
it's a big
one.
time.
That one worked out really, really, really nice for me. What else was an emergency platoon?
I would say I don't have a lot of the emergency, but I'm able to give up like Commander Tano,
Yeah,
Sith Eternal. That's and I think you're in the same boat. I can give up some of the more valuable characters in certain phases, and it's not detrimental to my weight.
I actually try not to use Cat specifically for that reason. I guess that's the emergencies that I can remember doing. Because I know other people need her, and I'm like, I don't need her anywhere near as much, and I can figure out another way to do things. But we both got sidetracked. Not lights, yeah, Lightspeed bundles. Old stuff versus new stuff. We're both drunk. We've been drinking.
But here's a question: like,
Sure.
it's just going back to these Lightspeed bundles and thinking about like this Cup bundle, right? Getting into like we were kind of talking about these
Love it.
emergency relics, and obviously Cup is a Relic 9. I love that bundle, and I think it. I mean, one, it's a Relic 9, which is just take
Which
it
is
and
stupid. It's five fucking dollars. Bones, fuck you. This is not pre-recorded, you piece of shit. Five
and
fucking dollars?
yeah, like you are a moron. If you are someone that spends money, you are a moron to pass up that bundle because it's a Relic 9 character. And the other side though is if Cup does well, you can expect other characters of his quality at that same price.
And I will buy it every fucking time.
Yeah, because I mean, you'd be silly not to, because you're gonna find some way to use Cup. Like, he has a Galactic Republic tag. That means you can use him with Queen Amidala or Jedi Master Kenobi. And is he gonna be fantastic? No. But does that save you a Relic 9 on your Queen Amidala or your like Padme? Yes. Like that's the argument you make there. Is
Listen,
that's a free relic. How much they free?
I did a whole video on the Lightspeed bundle for this for Cup, and anyone at the late game, and Bones, fuck you again. Not pre-recorded, you stupid piece of shit. We didn't plan anything, asshole. Anyone who is in the late game and has $5 to spend, Cup is so it irks me to no end on Reddit when people are like, oh, it's just for the meme. Yes, it's a meme. It's April Fool's Day. Of course it's a fucking meme. It's a joke. We get it. Haha. But there are so many battles you can use Cup in that will make it so that you don't have to Relic 9 someone else. The Quadme team, like you're pointing out, on Ring of Kafrene. The Jabba mission on Vandor. It does not... It's literally... Jabba does it himself. You can't auto it, but Jabba does it himself. The Night Sisters team. You don't need 5 Night Sisters. You just need 5 characters. And it allows you to not Relic 9 something else and throw something into that team. I'm buying it. I'm not going to buy it for anyone else in my guild. I don't like anyone else in my guild enough, except Moonborn. Maybe I'll buy it for Moonborn. But it's a good bundle, and I hope I'll buy it for Ugnaught. I'll buy it for Jedi Guardian. If you have Cup at R8, fucking buy it. Like, it's still worth it.
If they did a Relic 9 Ugnaught, I would buy it, and mine's Relic 5.
Yeah, just buy it. Like, again, it's $5. It's not $20, not $30. It's not a ton of money. It's $5 fucking dollars. I spend more on that on the stupidest shit. Like, the stupidest shit. Logan, and you're gonna fucking buy it. You know you are. You will buy that.
Oh,
Logan is gonna fucking buy it. He's fucking in chat going, I might not buy it. You're gonna fucking buy it. And then you're gonna go on 3 Scoundrels and go, you know, I wasn't gonna buy it, but then I was sitting in bed, and then I bought it. So I bought it. You're right, guys. I bought it.
You know what? Cup Datacron is gonna come back, and I'm gonna need that Datacron for.
And
that's exactly.
So we were talking about this actually on your Discord yesterday, I think, and I think I underpredicted what. As of right now, what is your prediction? Right now, as of yesterday, there was like 114 Relic 9 Cups in the game. What is your most up-to-date prediction for where you think that is going to be when the bundle comes out? It's a 24-hour bundle, so you only have 24 hours to purchase it.
Yeah, hold on. All right, I'm on GG right now.
I mean, I'm sure it hasn't updated much. It's maybe like 1 or 2 more.
There's 113. The fact that it has changed is okay. The fact that it has changed is a major concern for this entire game,
especially after that data mine.
Yeah. I'm going. I said 7,500. I feel like 7,500 is a very. I almost think that's conservative, but I think 7,500 because I feel like there's a lot of who are free to play that are just like staunch, and that's okay. You're staunch vegan CrossFit free to play that won't spend simply because they're free to play at this point, right? Like
we do have those people. We do have
and
those
then
people.
There's gonna be the player. There's gonna be the players who are like, nah, not for Cup. And then it's, you get down to that group where it's like they're always going to buy it. And then, I don't know, 7,500. I could be wrong. It could be way higher. I hope it's higher because then I'll get a Jedi Knight Guardian one or Jedi Knight Console.
I am so hoping for it. I will spend it. My wife spends so much money at Sephora that I do not give a shit about spending $5 on a Relic 9 character. Bones, I'm fucking telling you, man. Listen, you piece of shit. You want me to do shit and juggle like a monkey? You get me a hype train, I'll start taking shots. I don't give a fucking... I don't fucking care. But right now, me and Phil, we have an agenda, you piece of shit. I think on your Discord, I said 28,000.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot higher than my 70. I don't have as much faith in the community to use.
I actually think my guess was conservative, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to change my
I
guess to 31,000.
go for it. I mean, change whatever the hell you want. I mean, like sky's the limit. But
I yeah.
it is interesting, and I think what I'm hoping they do is I like these single character bundles.
I'm listening.
The tie interceptor. That's a great. That's it. I mean, I don't love what I don't love about that one is they already released Second Sister inside of the Inquisitor. So I felt like that was a little bit cheap, but I like the concept of single character bundles coming into the game because there's a lot of those characters that are maybe a one off that they're very good, but you don't want to spend $20 on an entire pack, but you'd spend five for Stormtrooper Han. You'd spend five for Imperial Probe Droid or something. Like that's maybe where my mind kind of goes. Like there's a lot of those bundles where like the Imperial Trooper bundle, and it was like five Imperial Troopers in there. The only one I needed was Short. If they sold Short Trooper for $5, I probably would have purchased it.
Yeah.
So I think the single character bundles are a really good idea, and I hope it continues because I think they could make almost more money that way. Because like I'm not buying these Rogue One bundles because I have a few of those relics already equipped, and I'm not willing to pay the full price. But if you sold me Phase and Chirrut for $7, I mean, fine. Twist my
Well,
arm.
they sold me Baze and Chirrut for $15 in a bundle that I didn't need. So
Yeah.
they won that round.
It's been tempting all week. I was, you know what? If Phase and Chirrut was in the $10 bundle, I would do it.
I was weak. I was like, because I'm on a quest to Relic 9, not Relic 9, holy shit. Relic my entire roster, and I don't have that much left. Well, I don't have that much left. Havorius, yes, my spending counter is a couple days off because of the Rogue One bundle. Tonight was unplanned. It's probably like 7 days. I have to fix it before brunch. But I don't have that much left, and I'd rather not spend G12 gear on some of these characters. And I even said on Reddit today, like, if they sold us a $20 shit tier bundle for Relic 3, right? Like, just like Jedi Knight Guardian, Ewok Scout, Stormtrooper Han, fucking Ugnaught, like, I would buy it. I would buy, if you gave me, like, 10 characters that are jack shit, terrible at everything for $20 at Relic 3, I would buy it.
I need that Stormtrooper Han. I need that so bad for my son. Not right now because it's of the Smuggler Cron, but like once it goes away, I really like it's a problem. Clone Wars Chewbacca. That's the next one they need to do is the Clone Wars. I'm shocked it's cut with Clone Wars Chewie.
I actually, not like that you say it, like you would think that Clone Wars Chewie would be the first of these bundles, but I do hope that every year they do somebody, and Clone Wars Chewie is an option, Ugnaught is an option, Consular and Guardian are an option, like, not Acolyte, the fucking one with the arrow, Night Sister Initiate is a fucking option. Like I will buy it every fucking time. Like I do not care. I think it's a fun, silly little thing that they can do, and I'm all about it every single time.
The Hoth Bros. I mean, come on now.
I have my Hoth Rebel Soldier is Relic 9 already for platoons. So it's like whatever. $7 a dozen for eggs, man. My eggs here are $11. Fuck off.
Oh, wish they were $7.
Yeah. Every time, and people, when I tell them $11, they go, "Oh, why are you shopping at Trader Joe's?" And I go, "No, that's Stop and Shop. That's the cheap brand of eggs at the poor people grocery store."
It's called living in a state that has a high cost of living.
Yeah, but don't you live like out in the boonies with all of the Amish people? Like, don't they all have
Dude,
chickens?
yeah, I mean, I could just, it's great where I live. If I go down the street to like the local Amish farm, they'll have a stand out there in the summer with produce all year. And there's just a little, I'm not exaggerating. There's a little lockbox out there that's got a simple lock on it that just has the prices will be listed on all the little fruit there, and you just put the money in. There will be nobody at that stand, and nobody like it's just because the Amish are so trusting, and the best part is I have never ever seen one of those stands where it's like it's completely empty. That people like they don't take advantage. They'll stop. You put your money in and you walk away. Because I remember my cousin, he came in from New Jersey, and I walked into one of these Amish farms, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You just walk in. Like you literally walk right into their barn, have all their stuff listed out." And he's like, How do you pay?" And I'm like, "You just put it in this little box." And he goes, "What if people steal it?" And I'm like, "Nobody will steal it. Like, they go in the honor system, and it works." And
Yeah, a
so,
lot of
sure
those
enough,
stands have it, and I think it's just opportunity cost. Like, what are you stealing? Now maybe they'll, like Walmart has their stuff locked up in those cases. You're gonna start seeing the dozen eggs locked up in the
dude,
electronic cases.
gonna gonna be easier to get Pokemon cards than eggs.
Oh God. Oh man. Do we have any before I pull up some reviews, which I feel bad for these people because I've been drinking. I've also haven't eaten anything really today, so I really feel bad for them. Do we have anything else that we need to lay down the law on?
I this came up in my Discord today. It was in general chat. And what is your opinion? Not that we can this because it's against the TOS, but what is your opinion on people who buy accounts? How does that? Because there's someone who purchased an account and they said, like, "Oh, I put a lot of work into it," and everybody's like, "No, you haven't. Like, you have not even put in 10% of the work of that account." And it was a big argument. And I think a lot of it was just, I feel like a lot of the player bases, they accept the fact that people will buy those. But when they start trying to take credit for stuff that was already there, that's where things get gray. And I was curious, like, how do you judge that, not judge it? Do you even care? Does it cross your radar at all?
So this actually brings up an interesting point because we have Bones and Logan here too, and we'll get to why that brings up an interesting point in a second. But as I get older, I give less and less shits about what people do with their money.
Yep.
When I played WoW back in 2006 as a college freshman, I sold my account for $800 before the expansion came in. I was a raider. I was a healer. My account was great, and what was nice about that was that the dude tried to fuck me over, and his credit card company sided with me. So I got the $800. I got the account back, and then after the expansion, I sold it for another $500. So I made a lot of money, which was super, super, super nice as a college student when the Wii just came out. And I was like, fuck, I can get a Wii now. Like, I have money. When it comes to the idea of buying an account, I don't give a shit. Your account is an asset. It's like a car. It's a severely depreciating asset. So I do love when people come in and they go, I put $5,000 into my account. Let me sell it for $3,000. No, fuck that. You're going to get $300, maybe, if you're lucky. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm your tits. But the reason I bring up Logan and Bones is just because Bones keeps going on and on and on about how he's this great GAC player because he played GAC on a 14 million account that doesn't belong to him. And he's just so amazing because he had all these tools, and he's wrong. And there was a question that came up a few weeks ago about like when an account becomes yours if you were to purchase an account. And I think, like, if you bought an account yesterday and played me in GAC and you were like, oh man, I beat you, I'm so good, I'd be like, fuck you, you did nothing. Like, great, you have all the tools. But I think that for like every month, 3 months, year, whatever it is that you've held that account, you have the ability to say you have put some work into it. But I don't think you ever have the ability to say, like, yeah, like, this is all me. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of work went into it before you.
I made the argument, like how I have right now, the 3,000 carbonate circuit, 5,000 bronzium wiring and chromium transistors and all this shit. So if I sold my account, somebody buys it, and they start spending some money and getting all this signal data,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, "Whoa, look at all these relics that I've done." And it's like, okay, hold on, time out. Like, you swipe your credit card, which is fine. That's more than I'm willing to do for signal data. But
Yeah.
all the rest of the pieces were there for you. Like, you did not really do all that much in the grand scheme of it. The character was already at gear 12 or wherever else. And that was my logic that I kind of would say to people when you're there and you're catching shit for this. You've got to be able to say, hey, I took the account over and it was 10 million. 6 months later, it's 11. And here's all the things that I've done
since then. But you have to know where you
yes.
came from is what,
yes.
Like, there's different levels of where an account is. And I think that I don't want us to put a GP on it, but I do think that the first layer of your account is building out the return on investment correctly. And I got into a fight with somebody not a fight. It was like I'm not having this conversation with you because you're dumb. On Discord today with somebody who was like, like, you'll hate to see my account because my Peridia Patrol is still 6-star and LOL, I have no plans to do them. And I was like, well, you're stupid. I don't know what to tell you. Building out the ROI on your account properly is the important first step. And if you're buying an 11 million or a 12 million account, you're just playing an end game account and keeping it updated. You didn't cultivate, you didn't plant the seeds, you didn't water the seeds, you didn't like pull the weeds out. You have the fruit tree and you're just making sure the fruit tree didn't die. And like, great, wonderful. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I cannot agree. It is funny that you mentioned Peridia Patrol when mine are only sitting at Relics.
Oh, I fucking hate you. I really do. Read the room, man. Relic 9. And I know.
Hold on. Counter argument. There's no signal data in that assault battle.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. I'm more bottlenecked by signal data.
I am telling you that you need to read the room, and over the last 6 months to a year, we have seen a huge shift in the amount that Relic 9 becomes important for characters. We've seen, I don't think Jar Jar was the first character to do this. Actually, I think it was Omega's Omicron, where we see things capped based on the Relic level of a character. Right? And you might not remember Omega's Omicron because it was specifically designed.
Because I remember. No, the reason I remember it is because I'm just reading it again, but I remember it because they gain max health equal to 10% of their max protection for each of their own amplifier levels. And then it says max 100. Mm-hmm. And that's when all of us thought Relic 10 was going to start happening.
Yes.
Because it says max 100%.
And it was really just future-proofing.
Yeah, but then you read Jar Jar's kit, where he gets the, every 3 relic levels, you gain extra stacks of shield generator. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, so now I need to wait till relic 12 to get more?
Yes, so you have his, and then Master Qui-Gon has one too, and I don't remember this because I don't have it, but Hugsy in chat is saying Pow's Omicron also does it for Conquest. We're seeing more of that come around. We're seeing a lot more guilds being in the 40s range for TB, where you need Relic 9 teams in order to advance. I need to Relic 9 things much faster than I used to. And I want to get the return on investment from Peridia Patrol as soon as possible. And I know it is a multi-year journey, but this is a long game that I've been playing for almost 10 years now. So like 2 years is not that much, when you're talking about a 13-month year and refreshing the tier one time each time. It's not a lot at all, and I'm just gonna pull the Band-Aid off as quickly as possible now so that I don't have to deal with it later. And I kind of remember when challenge tiers first came out, and I wasn't even a Reddit bro at the time. I wasn't even someone who was like, nobody knew who the fuck I was, but I saw the writing on the wall and I was like, man, Chirotech? Fuck yeah, Chirotech. I need to get to challenge tier 1 on every single one of these as soon as I fucking possibly can. And I'm so glad that I did, because I've never had to farm finishers ever. I've never farmed them ever.
I can't even tell you the last time I worried.
Never. I've never worried about them because of that. And I just always think of anything that's return on investment related. I need to invest in it as early as I possibly can. And I do think that Peridia Patrol, especially for you who's in a late game TB guild, and I think it's going to actually happen for you when you lose our TB battle and that you're forced to do Enoch, and then you're just like, well, fuck it, I have Enoch now, I might as well bring them to Relic 9.
It's probably very truthful. I'd honestly say the bigger thing for me has been that I haven't had a good opportunity to get those relics because of everything else I've been trying to catch my.
Yeah. Well, that there's a difference between I just haven't done it and I just haven't found the right time. But to me, that's such a priority. Anything when Duel of the Fates dropped, before it dropped, I was like, all right, these two characters, I'm going to get them when I get them. The minute it dropped, I was like, fuck, I'm getting these characters as quickly as I possibly can. And the same thing with the Peridia, the Dead Boys. I was like, fuck, I need to get these guys as soon as I possibly can, because I need to be getting this return on investment as soon as I possibly can get that. Whether it's 2 years from now or whether it's 3 years from now, I literally do not care. Everything is about producing as much free resources as I possibly can.
Yes. But here's my, argument for you, right? Is with those guys, at what point does it actually start to make sense that you invest in the Peridia Patrol? Sorry if I seem distracted. I'm trying to do a territory war matchup.
Yeah, I have a cupcake war. Don't you have a cupcake war? It sounded like you had a cupcake war from your Discord.
Yeah, I'm still trying to do a battle. It's just not going well. I got punishing one out, and then frickin' Xanadu survived with a shred of health, and that's just disastrous. But that's an easy.
Bones, you know more than anything that I can just talk and talk and talk, and I can just keep going for forever and ever and ever. I think Peridia Patrol. I think Relic 7 is something that I expect from somebody in the 6 to 10 million range. And if you're above that, I basically expect you to have them at Relic 9. If you're 8 to 10 million and you have it, I'm like, all right, good for you. You did it. That's awesome. But I just feel like beyond 10 million, like I just kind of expect you're in a more later end game guild and that you need to be worrying about those things. And even for the raid, right? Like fuck Naboo. I know Naboo's only gonna be around for like 3 more months, maybe 4 more months. But we're talking about the next raid after that and the next raid after that. You're going to have to apply Relic 9 teams. And we do not get Relic 9 material fast enough.
Now that's a fair point.
I'm always on that. That's my thing, is always being on that.
It's funny because my guild right now, we've kind of had a, like, Naboo raid sticking around is kind of like the worst thing to ever happen to me, because like I really wanted to push my guild to like get a more get us like further in the Naboo raid, or in the next raid more so, because Naboo raid obviously is sunsetting, and it's like, I want to say it's not worth, but it's not worth us investing more at this point. Like that just
Okay. Yeah.
But I really wanted to push for that, and then it's like, oh well, we're gonna have Naboo for the next like 5 months, and you're like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And it just kind of like sucks, because you think of like, for my guild especially, being very like, we could have easily you know been investing in this raid already, because like it would be here and all that stuff. Sorry, I got really distracted. This negotiate this
You
fucking
heard it here first, guys. Phatphil gives a shit about his cupcake wars more than he cares about me. And this is why I fight with him.
This is GAC practice as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I still have
That's
to
a
figure out
terrible.
my defense for GAC. Well, that's a
I
tomorrow
know,
problem.
but like this whole thing with the raid, right? I wanted the new raid to be here already, so that way I knew what the hell to do with my relics, especially Relic 9, because, like you said, Relic 9s are needed in the raid, and that's where I want them to be focused. But I can't. I know I'm not at the point anymore where I have an excuse to not equip them, and that's kind of what pisses me off. Is if you could at least tell us, hey, this is the direction we're gonna head, then I at least have some fucking idea of where to put Relic 9s. And
Yeah.
guilds like ours are kind of getting screwed here, where our initial investment into this raid was based on the fact that it was going to last 6 to 9 months, and we're about a year before we're supposed to get any more news on the next one,
I
right?
mean,
Like that.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's just, it feels very cheap to me. It feels like they completely copped out on. I think I would argue that the Naboo raid has probably been a financial success for them because of the Relic Nines on Queen Amidala, Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi. I feel like it's been a financial success, and that's why it's sticking around. More
I
so than
think
kind of bandwidth issues, I think it's been a financial success, and that's exactly why, to throw this in there, it's exactly why fucking Leviathan is still the fleet meta, is because everybody is willing to rush it to 7-star immediately, because that's what you need it to be competitive at. Where Profundity, that you needed it at 4-star.
Well, I mean, when we talk about Leviathan, I think the smart thing for them, not for us, it sucks for us, is that they realized with Executor, pre-P1 obviously, and then Profundity, they gated everything at like basically 5-star. And it was like, oh, at 5-star, these are perfectly usable ships. Leviathan is a boring ass fleet to use. Like, it's not an interesting or fun fleet to use. It's just a very strong fleet to use. But it's very much gated behind 7 stars. And I don't think that's so much a Leviathan issue. I think it's more a CG has learned issue. And the next fleet is going to be the same way. The next time we have a fleet, whatever the hell it is, what's his name, Trench or Kitty Cat, stop fucking breaking things. Whatever the hell that is, it's going to be the same locked behind 7 stars kind of fleet. And for that reason, I am surprised we didn't get a new fleet last year. But at the same time, there's only so many fleets that they can come out with. But
Yes.
I don't even know
Go ahead.
what you were rambling about before that. You talked for so
More so,
long. You were acting like such a fucking Egnards that I don't.
it's based around the fact that this raid has gone on for
Oh,
so
the
long.
raid, right.
I don't, yeah, and that the Relic Nines, I would have been equipping them to other things. Like I would have probably done the Remnants, Relic 9 by now. But because I don't know what the next raid holds, it's Relic 8s, that's Relic 9s that I would have to spend, that I'm not getting a return on my signal data. Because for me, signal data is a big deal.
Signal data is life. It is. It's the biggest thing, and I've said this. This actually brings us. First of all, we'll talk about signal data in just a second, but just because I want to finalize my thought on the raid, my thought is that basically what happened is that they had an idea for the next raid, and it was Peridia, and they had to scrap it. I just think whatever it was, and maybe it wasn't pretty, I don't know, but I think it was. I just think they had to scrap it for whatever reason, and they had to figure something out, and they had to, like, they not scramble, but they had to prolong the timeline and do something else. But going into signal data, it's why, like, with this Zeta bonus drop that's coming up, I'm very seriously considering 4 to 5 refreshes. And I know you said, no, fuck no, I don't need that. But well, not on here, privately to me, I'm airing our private laundry. I have this goal to get every Zeta in the game. So if I can get a few extra Zeta material to do these shit tier Zetas just for my own completionist goal, I will absolutely also get some extra signal data on top of that, because it's like Ted Lasso. What's his name? Danny Rojas. Signal data is life. Signal data is life. Like that is the game's motto right now.
That is the A tier reference, by the way.
I know. I drop them.
But no, that's my one thing with the Peridia battle comparative to Battle for Naboo. I get signal data back, and signal data is literally the most important thing to me right now. And part of that too, like, you obviously have a much larger account than I do. I shouldn't say much. You have
It's
a larger
not much larger. What are you, 12.4?
You have more relics. Yeah.
Okay, I'm 12.8.
You have more of the relics. And again, that's not that, it is what it is. But the argument I would make is that I have a much greater need for signal data right now, because you do have more of those teams at Relic 8 and 9 than I do.
Though okay, are you talking about for our TB battle, or do you just mean overall?
Overall, like, there's a lot of Relic 8s and 9s that I'm missing that I would prefer to have by.
I think a lot of that maybe has more to do with just how we've done our accounts, and like our resource management. Not to say you've managed incorrectly. You managed more for like GAC, and I managed more for like, let me get as much as I can, with as little as possible. So like something like spending on Ahsoka, again, I did do it, but to a lesser degree than you did. Because I always have signal data on the back burner. Though again, last year I made the stupid decision with Jar Jar. I spent 90,000 crystals on getting Jar Jar on day one, and all of that was free. That was all just saving. But I did that just because, fucking Jar Jar. So like, I've burned my share of crystals, but signal data is always on the forefront of my mind. And just to answer, somebody in chat earlier was asking about signal data and said something along the lines of doing 3 refreshes and buying from the store. That is the more efficient way, yes, if you just need signal data. But because I also want shitty Zetas, I'm like, I might as well do the 4th and 5th refresh to get those as well. As far as what my last Zeta is going to be, I literally do not know what Zetas I don't have, and I go through my collection when I'm ready to apply a shitty Zeta, and I just find these like ones This is an Omicron, obviously, and then I just apply them in order. I go, oh, hey, I don't have that Zeta. Okay, I'm gonna apply that Zeta. Like, I don't put that much thought into it, to be completely honest.
Farm Boy Luke, baby.
Farm Boy Luke. Do I have Farm Boy Luke? Farm Boy Luke, where is he? Farm Boy Luke. I don't have either of Farm Boy Luke's, actually. They're both just sitting there. Somebody I saw today called him Femboy Luke. And I was like, all right, I get it. I don't have either of them, but they will eventually get done. It just, now we get like these things where like Marquis have 2 Zetas, they have 3 Zetas, they have this many Zetas, and I just have been having trouble keeping up.
It's so crazy. They have way too many now. I remember back in my day when a character would get a Zeta as a part of kind of a rework.
Like the Omicrons, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's like, oh, the Zalbar Omicron, like, that's what Maul's Zeta was. They're like, oh, introducing Zetas, here's Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and Barriss Offee, and then it was like, oh my gosh, this Marquis unit now has a Zeta. Oh, DLX has 3 Zetas, can you believe that? And you're like...
I think that's the problem when people, like, I see it a lot on Reddit where they're like, CG promised us that they will update old characters with Omicrons. Okay, it's been 2 fucking years. Like, they did do that. They didn't say they'd do that forever. Like, they've stated, actually, like, that's the same thing that happened with Zetas, man. Like, that's how it works. They introduce a new thing, and they give a couple old guys it, but then they move on, because that's how life does things. It moves on.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you go to, like, Wampa, that's an older character with an Omicron.
And he was one of the first. He was very early. I think it's a she. Yeah. I don't remember, but
no, the Wampa, as far as Phatphil is concerned, Wampa in game is king. That's not the one that got its arm cut off. That's a girl. The one that actually knocked Luke off the tauntaun was a guy.
Okay, all right.
Gotta look that up.
King Wampa.
But Qui-Gon, right? That Omicron.
That was an early one. And that was one that had to be reworked because it was destroying GLs. Like, just annihilating them.
Traya.
Traya, Zam Wessel. And Zam was a good one for a little while. It was a really good one for a while.
Finn, Rolo. Those are both TB, but they're old characters. They've been around a long time. Admiral Akbar.
Yes. Roast Tico.
Asajj. Like, there are these, and the other side you've got to give them credit for too is think of a character like Zor, who, yes, she's a newer character, but she's getting used with older characters.
Yes,
they also have done a good job of kind of releasing these. I hate the word lifter at times because I feel like we overuse it a lot. But they've done a good job of releasing some characters to bring a squad back to life. Like Keller and Beck is another really good one for the Galactic Jedi.
Yes,
you put him with the Qui-Gon in the Grand Arena, they're much better. He's the territory warrior of Omicron. They've done a good job with that, where some of those older investments you made are becoming more valuable.
I am a big fan of when they do that because I like when we have one of my biggest complaints about the game at the end game is and I don't know if we talked about this or if I talked about this on Three Scoundrels. I hate the homogenization of accounts, right? So like 4 or 5 years ago, everybody had their own path. Like, oh, I'm going towards the Darth Revan and I'm going to have the Darth Revan team, or like, oh, I'm going to have the CLS team or whatever it was. And everybody, like, you'd play GAC and yeah, there was the 1 or 2 teams everybody had because they're so amazing, but somebody might have this team versus that team. And now with requirements requiring specific relic levels, and with all of the GL, like at our part of the game, every account looks exactly the same, and has every tool imaginable, and not just every tool imaginable, but like at the same, like, if you think about my perfect example that I keep going back to is the negotiator. If you think about the negotiator meta, when I was in the negotiator meta, my negotiator and my GK was Relic 7 before Relic 8 came out. But there were people in my fleet shard that had him at Relic 5 and had him at Relic 3. And they were able to compete, but it was different a little bit. Now you do Leviathan battles, everything's Relic 9 because that's what you needed to get just to get the Leviathan. So it's the same exact battle.
Oh, that's, yeah. And I think that's been exacerbated by like farming guides too, which is really funny because I just talked about like, hey, this is what I would do in the early game. But like farming guides have been a huge part of everybody's account looking the same because and I would say for a while in this game, there was a argument to be made that there was a legitimate path to farm this, and this, and your account is set up for success.
Yeah.
That like you farmed Executor, farmed Kylo, and you were set up for life. Every raid you were good in Fleet Arena, you were set up for GAC and territory battles, like everything was fine. And I think this shift to the Crate Raid and Rise of the Empire completely changed that landscape. They wanted to move away from these farming guides dominating the game because it got a little bit too easy. I think that Rise of the Empire and these raids have thrown a wrench in that, and I feel like they've done a good job of it because having, obviously I think we're getting to roster reviews at this point here. You see a lot of players who they're like, I'm not sure what to build, and a lot of that stems from they don't want to invest in Jar Jar because the raid is sunsetting. They can't really get Queen Amidala to play Conquest, and so they're like, do I even focus on this raid at all? And that's where I've found a lot of their struggles is this. It's hard to stomach doing something for a short.
Yes.
On the return on investments is short. Unlike the assault battle.
It's okay. You can say ROI. I've said it like 12 times today. It's completely fine. You're allowed to say it. I want to, only because I've been drinking and because you kind of brought up this a little bit. I actually want to. Oh my God, I'm going to shoot myself I'm going to shoot both of us in the foot right now, but probably me more in the foot than you. I want to say fuck the roster reviews. I'll do those on Sunday, but I want to talk about roster reviews. Because we've talked about this, and I've talked about this on my streams a little bit.
Get another beer.
Okay, all right. So we'll wait for Phil. He already knows what I'm gonna bring up. Fuck. Oh my God. Fuck. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us tonight. By the way, I know I have not been doing a great job of hanging out with the chat because I'm not used to having other people on with me. But welcome to everybody on our this pre-recorded video. What am I having? I was drinking Sierra Nevada before. I was drinking, you guys have to understand, I actually started a Tales Off the Holotable video before this, and I was already drinking my camp stock whiskey with a gentleman before I even contacted Phil. So I've been drinking camp stock whiskey as well. And I have had almost nothing to eat tonight. I had yogurt this morning with some granola. I went the entire day eating nothing. I came home and had a microwave meal because I needed to do this video that didn't pan out. So I've had maybe 1,000 calories today, and I'm drinking, which is not smart.
Yeah, it's never a plan for.
No, it's not. It was not a smart idea. But again, I want to go back to roster reviews because I have been drinking, and you are free to disagree with me, to hold face. But one thing that for me as a content creator, and I'm only just now getting used to calling myself a content creator, is I very much am all about doing what is funny for me, or what is fun or interesting for me. I love the community. I want to help the community, but I never want to do things just because I'm expected to. When it comes to roster reviews, I started doing them initially because I needed to hit my 1,000 YouTube subscribers in order to like get advertising revenue and actually make $3 a month. And I kept doing them because people kept coming to me and asking for help. I fucking hate roster reviews. I hate them so much. I don't hate doing them. I don't hate looking at rosters. I don't hate helping people. All of those things are fine. But my biggest complaint is that 90% of people who ask for roster reviews have watched one of my streams before. They've watched a Nooch stream. They watched a U stream. They've watched Scribe. They've watched every other fucking content creator. They know what I'm going to say. Why? Like, you know I'm going to tell you to go for Jabba. You know I'm going to tell you to build out your assault battle ROI. You know I am going to tell you like to go for this or that or the other thing. 80 to 90% of you guys, after I do them, go, oh yeah, no, that was my plan because I watched 30 other roster reviews you did. So why do you need them? Phil's being silent. He's like, no, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do.
No, I think roster reviews have, and for lack of a better word, they've become so perverted and like twisted and ported from what they should have originally been. In my opinion, you should need a roster review like once a year.
Yeah.
If you need a review more than once a year, then like, and with the light speed bundles, it's challenging because everybody's roster looks the same now. They're all homogenous. They're all bundles, and it's just like farm whatever the hell you have Zetas for. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't give you more Zetas. And if you're complaining about Zetas, go buy them. And if you're not going to buy them, then complain about them. And I think what happens is players feel they need a roster review like one. Your roster does not materially change much.
Yeah.
And if it's materially changing, then you are either spending so much that any advice you get is, because if you're spending to that degree, nobody's going to be able to give you a review that makes sense. Like I've always said, to be a successful roster review, I need to know three things. Like it's almost five things. I need to know what was the last thing you built. Like what is the last farm that you did? And I need to understand that because I need to know where you, like if I see Jabba, Leia, JML, Executor, and like Fundity in your account, what was the last one of those that you did? What are you coming off?
Yeah.
Because that allows me to gain some context as to, if I tell you to go for Leviathan and you just got done with Jedi Master Kenobi or Lord Vader, where it was a very long farm and you're about to start another one, maybe I tweak what I'm going to tell you. I then want to know what you think. I want it because I enjoy seeing what people think, because then I can understand, do you want a review? Or the other frustration is some players just want validation for what they want, which that's a whole other issue. They're not asking us for advice. They're coming to us for validation for whatever they think they want. I then want to know if you spend money, because again, that just helps. Like if you spend money, Ahsoka's on the table. If you
Yeah.
don't spend money, then no, Ahsoka isn't on the table. Um, I then want to know roughly like where what kind of crystal income. Just again, the more context I get on your account, and then finally, like, what is your plan after this? Like after, hey, I'm gonna get JML. What are you doing after? That way, I kind of get a clear idea of where your head is. How much do you know about your account, and how in tune are you with? Like I've had a bunch of players who come up and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna farm Vader now," and I'm like, "You don't have Executor, you have Profundity, you don't have Leviathan. Do not do that." Or I'm gonna go farm, Leviathan, and you sit there and you're like, "You don't even have Jedi Knight Revan, let alone Darth Revan." Like, we've got to have a conversation here. Um, and so I feel like they've just again kind of coming back to you need them like once a year. Any more, maybe every 6 months if you're progressing fast and you're buying bundles. But like most of the time, when I'm giving a review, I'm going to tell you what I would do the next, what you should be working on now, and the thing you should be working on next. And that'll probably take you a year
Yeah.
if it's two major farms. I'm not going to tell you go farm Harrison Dula, go farm Kanan, go farm this, go farm that, and then you're going to check these boxes. Like I'm going to tell you the two major things to do. If you want to throw some Gungans in between there or something else, I don't really care. I told you the two big things that you should farm. If you want to do some little thing in between, it doesn't. It's no skin off my back. That's not what I'm here for. And I don't know. That's my frustration. Is it seems like it's players who want them don't actually need them, and the players who need them are either afraid to ask or are too arrogant that they don't need the help. Like I constantly am asking for advice on my account. I ask Egnards all the time, like, "Hey, your teammate, does this work?" Or I'll go to somebody and be like, "Hey, Grand Arena, I'm thinking of building this. Is this a good team?" Like I am not above asking for advice, and I'm one that gives people advice. So if I can encourage you guys to ever ask for help.
Well, I think the difference is that we're talking about like short-term advice. Like when you and I chat with each other, like I just took baby Cal up because of you, right? Like for TB, and that's like short-term. Like, hey, how are you doing this goal? And you're going, oh, hey, this is the way that I'm finding to get this goal done quicker. And I go, oh, let me try that. When it comes to a review, you're right. Like what I find to be the most frustrating is and this is how I framed my reviews and how I tell people, I say, this is what I would do if I had your account. If I took over your account tomorrow, this is what I would do. And then they go, well, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. I'm like, that's fine. You can slot that shit in whenever you want. This is your account. Have fun. Like, enjoy the game. But if I had your account, you've come to me for advice, this is the thing that I would do in order to fulfill my role as the advice giver. But the reality is, like I said before, you've kind of reiterated, most of the time you already know what I'm going to say. Like you already know what the advice is. There isn't too much of a reason for me to give that advice. There might be some small things. Now, the one thing that I have found is, and you might have this too, I know you have memberships and some subscriptions through YouTube, and I like to troll your membership area sometimes, and I have memberships and everything, and I haven't looked at your different breakdowns. I have a breakdown where at a certain level people have like unlimited access to me, like daily access, which is a terrible deal, because if you PM me, I'm going to answer you anyway. It doesn't matter. You could pay me $0 a day, and if you PM me, I will answer you. But some of these guys on that level, like they'll message me more like the minutia of their account. And like the little things, and like we're saying, like the back and forth with Baby Cal or Captain Enoch. And I'm able to help them on a level that I'm not able to help somebody in 8 minutes looking at a roster. But again, it's a terrible, terrible deal for them, because if you PM me, I will answer you, which I shouldn't tell anybody, but I do.
I've had a few who do that, but I can just like reiterate my farming guide, and then it's not like they're getting anything extra. That's like so if you're ever like, I'm just gonna tell you to follow, and that's another thing. The amount of like 50,000, 200,000, 400,000 accounts that want a roster review.
Oh
And
God.
you're like, you don't need a roster review. You need a farming guide. Go watch a farming guide. I'm just gonna reiterate, like you're gonna pay money to somebody for them to reiterate their farming guide. And you feel bad as a content creator, because like, especially like you and I I had a baby account for a little bit, and it's way too much work between real life children, main account, trying to balance officership. Like you, I'm like people will take your money, but you don't need to spend that money. Like we made a farming guide for a reason. And that farming guide, like mine, if you follow that through, where I'm like, hey, get executor, Jabba, Leia, JML, and go get Inquisitors, you're gonna be like over 4 million galactic power by the time. You don't need a roster review for like 2 years if you're following that because the framework is there for you to be successful.
Yes, and you actually, when I did a joke review for you, you had kind of said also to me, I had a roster review for someone who was like 200,000 at that point. I was like, I don't know what to do for you. I don't know. I haven't been in that position for 9 years. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, go watch a video or just play the game for fun. Do either one.
And the crazy part is how much easier it is to play now.
Yes.
The early game, it's just so easy. Everything is given to you now. Like, I remember when it was like I had to make a choice over which Carboni to equip. And now you're like, Carboni's coming out my ears. And I get that eventually it stops with the Kyrotech and everything, but like, it's so different seeing accounts now and the progress they make, and then you're trying to give them advice, and it's so challenging because the advice they really need is you just got to recognize that this game is 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That like you're not going to make significant progress in a year.
Yeah.
Game. Even if you buy the bundles, you're still how many Zetas?
That
like make fun of him. I don't know if he's like I have a channel member who in the
is it
past,
Wombat?
Like,
it's definitely Wombat, isn't it?
No, it's not Wombat. It's not Wombat. I have other words for and what he's doing with his Mandalorians. Whole other issue that we discuss.
Fucking who does TB at 12:30 when it ends at 1 p.m. Piece of shit. Okay, go on.
But my one member has gotten like 4 GLs in the past like 3 months. He has a Relic 7 Sith, no Zetas on him.
Oh my god.
And he's gonna be getting Bane soon. He knows who he is. But we were chatting a bit, and I was like, the thing is, you're at this awkward stage where you're finally recognizing that your bottleneck is.
Yes.
That before, like, these bundles, and even like with the way the game has trended now, more of you are seeing the bottleneck is actually. You're not bottlenecked by contact. You're not bottlenecked by signal data. You are bottlenecked by the sheer fact that there's not enough time for you to do what you want to do.
Yes.
That because the game is, again, game's 10 years old. There's guys who've been playing that long. If you've only been playing for of those years, you're only been around for 40% of the time this game has been around. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle with their accounts and wanting roster. They just don't understand how much time has been put into an account that you haven't changed it at all. Like even
and
getting a GL,
want that button.
Yeah, like a GL is not that big of a deal.
No, do you remember when like Ray and SLKR came out? And I remember thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna get Ray, because we didn't know which one was the better one, right? Like, so it was like, I'm gonna get Ray. I don't know how someone's gonna get Ray and SLKR. There's no way that's ever gonna happen. And now I have 9 fucking GL.
Dude, I remember when I first saw a Ray and Kylo in territory. And you're just like, what the hell do we do?
How much money did they spend?
Yeah. And the thing was, that was a very factual statement at the time of how much did you spend? Because it was only the whales of your guild that did it. And now it's like, I spent $10 and I got Ray.
And even without the Lightspeed bundles, like even if we ignore those, people might go like, oh, like it's so easy to get like Ray or SLKR, they're so whatever. But back then, getting them, we have to remember, one, you had maybe 5 relics on your account. Like, you didn't have
Yeah.
any First Order or Resistance relic. None. Because those were two shit factions. First Order was like kind of usable, but the Resistance not so much.
Yeah.
Relics were harder to fucking get. Like, you just did not have the backbone to be able to get those things. And even just gearing was harder. Like, it took you forever.
Because you couldn't choose your gear. So like your reward, you were like waiting for the Sith raid to drop you
The
gear already.
right item. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can remember just like sitting there sometimes. I'm like, I have 5 of this fucking piece. I need a fusion drill.
Give me something else.
And
Give
you're
me
just
something
waiting.
else.
Yeah, and then you drop it, and it's a whole other piece that you don't need yet. And you're like, fuck. And yeah, yeah, I remember getting Sith Eternal back when he was actually, and then it was like I got JML, and that was the only. It's funny. I've had one. I'll never forget it. I have one season in Grand Arena where I went undefeated in the old system, in the old like 12 matches in a season. The only time I ever went 12-0 was the season after I got Jedi my. Once I got his ultimate, that first Grand Arena season, I went 12-0 with 2 GLs because it just was everybody else had been able to beat me by just like set or like compete by setting down a Kylo, and now I had tools to go clear them. And it was just
That,
so
yeah.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment and going 12-0. It's one of my like happiest moments since go. Obviously, I have no way to prove, but like I distinctly remember that. And the part that pisses me off to this day is I was like top. I want to say I was in the top like 20 back in the. Remember GAC? There was the legitimate like
The old
score every
GAC.
single season. Yeah, like there was a score. I was like top 20 in my bracket, and the final week, my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren counter failed, and I wasn't able to full clear my opponent. I still won the match, but I dropped to like top 300 because I didn't full clear my opponent that time. And I was so pissed off because I was robbed of getting like better rewards, and there was a chance of getting like the title, and it infuriated.
I hated those stupid. I remember back in the day, like in those tournaments, you used to like message your opponent and be like, "Hey, let's place no GLs and only G11s so we can farm the feats and get like the
Oh, dude, the feats.
kill 8
Oh,
guys with fucking Han Solo's dick." And you're like, "Okay, I guess I'll try to do that."
remember when the winning fleet battles without reinforcements was
Oh my
actually
god.
challenging?
But I didn't play
Yeah.
GAC that much at the time, and I don't think I ever got to Kyber in those old days because like I just didn't care. Because you didn't get crystals, you didn't get anything. I was like, I don't give a shit about these rewards. Like it doesn't matter to me. Other than the Zetas, but I
Yeah,
still would always go at like 2 and 1, so it didn't matter. I still got 2 instead of 3. Whatever it is.
yeah, I definitely didn't go hard in those GACs either.
Yeah, back in those days when, Phil's kids were babies and he was supposed to be a supportive dad to them. What?
Yeah. Shut up, kid. In the middle of my GAC.
I'm both not and also looking forward to those days. My man, I don't want to do any reviews after completely shitting on reviews. It is about 11 p.m. and I do have work in the morning. I want to say, one, I appreciate you doing this last minute because this quite literally was completely and 100% last minute, and me texting you and going, hey, I don't know, do you want to circle jerk for an
Hey,
hour
you
or
up?
two? Yeah, it's exactly
You
what it
up?
was. It was hey, you up, and you were like, yeah, I am. Everybody's asleep. Let's do this. So I do appreciate that. I do. Before I give you your last thoughts and before people leave Twitch, there is a Twitch Swolga streamer that I enjoy, who is going to be on Three Scoundrels on Thursday. He's not playing Swilga right now, but I still want to raid into him because I spent like an hour with him last night, and he's just a cool dude to chat with. His name is Big Boat 777. He's just a fun guy. So I do want to raid out to him on the Twitch end. So stick around on Twitch. Don't go anywhere. But I want to give you, Phil, the last words of the night.
Just because we shit on roster reviews does not mean we don't believe they can. We simply shit on the people who want them all the time as a way to parade their account around validation for every little thing they're going to do.
100%.
I would say, as a content creator, as someone with my channel members, what I love is when you guys have a question about, hey Phil, what Zeta should I equip? What Omicron should I equip? Those are far more impactful things than trying to give you a farming plan for the next year. Because every day asking a little bit of advice, you're going to get way more. You're going to get so much more value. And in 3 months, when something changes, I can live react. So that's the one thing that I love with my channel members is that they have that section to ask the little questions. And then when something big does happen, they can ask me the question, Phil, should I keep doing this or should I pivot? So.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I do think that reviews can be very helpful, but again, you're right. There are people that I feel like are addicted to, and it's like, just watch my last one. Watch the one I did last month. I know you watched. You were on my stream. Just follow that same exact advice. You don't need a review. You just need to listen. All right. We're rating out to Big Boat. Follow. Again, he's not playing Star Wars right now, but he does play Star Wars often, and he is going to be on Three Scoundrels on Thursday. So hey hi to him.